Frédéric Chopin was born on March 1, 1810, in Jelezowa Wola, a small village near Warsaw, Poland. His father, Nicolas Chopin, was a French teacher who had settled in Poland, and his mother, Justyna Krzyżanowska, was a Polish noblewoman. Chopin was the second of 4 children, and he showed a remarkable aptitude for music from a very young age. As a child, Chopin was already composing music, and at age 7, he gave his first public performance. His talent was recognized by a number of prominent musicians in Warsaw, including Józef Elsner, the director of the Warsaw Conservatory. Elsner became Chopin's teacher and mentor, and he helped the young musician hone his skills as both a pianist and composer. Chopin's family was part of the Polish nobility, and their home in Warsaw was often visited by famous musicians and artists. In 1826, Chopin enrolled at the Warsaw Conservatory, where he continued to study music under Elsner. During this time, he began to develop his unique style as a composer, blending elements of traditional Polish music with more contemporary European influences. In 1830, when Chopin was 20 years old, Poland erupted in a revolt against Russian rule. Chopin was deeply affected by the events of the uprising, and he composed a number of works that expressed his patriotic feelings, including his Revolutionary Etude and his Polonaise in A-flat major. Later that year, Chopin left Poland and settled in Paris, where he quickly became a celebrated figure in the city's music scene. Chopin was known for his impeccable fashion sense and often wore elegant suits and gloves when performing. During his time in Paris, Chopin continued to compose and perform, and he developed close relationships with a number of famous musicians and artists, including Hector Berlioz, Franz Liszt, and Eugene Delacroix. He also began a romantic relationship with French writer George Sand. Chopin and Sand spent several years together in the French countryside, where Chopin composed some of his most famous works, including his Prelude in E minor and his Nocturnes. Despite struggling with poor health for much of his adult life, Chopin continued to compose and perform until his death. He died in Paris on October 17, 1849, at the age of 39. There is no definitive answer to the question of Chopin's cause of death, but it is believed that he died of tuberculosis, which was a common cause of death at the time. In the years leading up to his death, he experienced a gradual decline in his health, and he was often unable to perform or compose for extended periods of time. Chopin was frail and weak, and his body was unable to fight off the disease. His death was mourned by musicians and music lovers around the world, and he was buried in Paris at the Père Lachaise cemetery. Chopin's music has continued to be studied, performed, and beloved by musicians and audiences around the world. Today, he is widely regarded as one of the greatest composers in the history of Western classical music. His works for the piano, including his ballades, mazurkas, and waltzes, are particularly celebrated for their technical brilliance and emotional depth. Now that you've learned more about the life and legacy of Frédéric Chopin, why not take a deeper dive into his music by checking out our Chopin playlist on the channel? From his early compositions to his later masterpieces, The playlist offers a comprehensive overview of Chopin's unique style and musical genius.